Hello there, my name's Tracy Elsom and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in Canada. Today I want to show you a technique for creating multicoloured paper for cutting out. So I'm going to use these two products here. This is the Colourful Seasons stamp set and this is the matching seasonal layers thinlits, and there's some images that are able to be cut out by these dies. And what I'm looking for is something to cut out that one and probably that one. So what I'd like to try and do is to create a leaf that is kind of mottled and you don't see all the rigid lines on it or solid colour that you'd get if you just cut that out of a piece of card. So what I'm going to start with is a piece of very vanilla card. I also need a piece of paper towel. I'm going to sponge the surface of this, and the whole nature of sponging means that you end up with lots and lots of ink over the surface of the card and it can get quite messy. So I find that if I hang on to the card with a piece of paper towel underneath my hand, I don't end up in quite such a mess. It's not perfect, but it's enough. Right, okay, I'm just going to swap that out because that one's got a slight dent at the corner, and I'll cut that off so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to start with crushed curry, just a piece of sponge, and I'm just going to very randomly add some crushed curry to that. That's as far as it goes. Very random and not really worrying too much about any marks. This is old olive now. There we go, that's the old olive. Next I'm going to come in with pumpkin pie. Add some of that. And you can see there's no rhyme or reason. I'm not really worrying too much about placement. I'm just literally just adding colour to this piece of card. Now I think we'll do some Cajun Craze. This is a darker sort of rusty colour. And it just adds to the image. And where it's going over colours that have gone before, it changes it very slightly. So we're seeing more oranges now. Okay, now let's try some red. Cherry cobbler again. Okay, I think I need a bit more green back in there, so I'm going to come back with my old olive. Go. My old olive needs a little bit of re-inking, so I'm having to really work to get that ink up. There we are. Okay, so it doesn't really look like very much, but the fact that I've got the colours all blended, there's no definite marks anywhere, there's no lines, makes it an ideal piece to create the die cuts. So I'm going to bring in my big shots. I'm still using those very, very worn cutting pads. They are actually 4 years old now, and I can feel this one is about to go. It might last, it might not. This could be fun. Okay, so I'm coming in with these dies from the Seasonal Layers framelits, and let's just run that through. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Let's just put that one there. Stick that one in there, just make sure it's got room. one more of these smaller leaves. This away now, get it off my desk. And we have our leaves, and as you can see, now that I've cut them out, there's just something very natural about the colour. Each one is very slightly different, and there's no obvious sponge marks. It just creates a really nice effect. So let's see what we can do with those. What I'm going to do, I think, with the largest ones, I have this image. It's the leaf veins, and I think I want to just stamp those leaf veins on the larger leaves. Could be fun. I'm trying to get my head in the shot. So I'm using Cajun Craze, and it's photopolymer, so I should be able to look right through and get the image on, which is close enough. It's just that little bit more difficult when you're not right over the top of it. But again, that's pretty good. So that's all of that done. Now I have a piece of Very Vanilla card. It is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I folded it and I have sharpened the crease using my bone folder. I have a piece of Cajun Craze card here, which I thought I might use as a mat. And then I have another piece of Very Vanilla card, which I could put over the top of that. So yeah, I think we could do that. Put a couple of leaves in there. And I want to make this into a sympathy card, so I think I will put a sympathy message there. So let's grab another piece of Very Vanilla card. This is my packet of scraps, so apart from full sheets of Very Vanilla card, this is it. That's all my scraps in Very Vanilla, and I keep it in those plastics so that I can actually find what I want, and I'm using my scraps. They're not just sitting hiding in a drawer, never to be seen again. Okay, let's bring out this sympathy. See, now I like that. That's from the Flourishing Phrases stamp set, and I'm thinking maybe I want to cut it out with an oval die, and looking at it, it's a lovely shape, but have I got enough room? That's not too bad. These are the Layering Ovals framelets, so that was number 2. Let's try number 3. I'm going to go with the slightly larger one. Okay, so we'll bring that big shot back in. So we get one more use out of this plate before it gives up the ghost. So there we are. Let's just put that on there like that. On top and wind it through. Get that off and put this away. Okay, so there is my rough idea of my card, and there's my, so I quite like that. I think that looks looks nice. Okay, so let's start with some glue. I'm just going to use multi-purpose liquid glue just to attach this very vanilla layer to the Cajun Craze one. Use Tombow glue a lot, the multi-purpose liquid glue, because I can move the card around. Once it's down, I can move it around and make sure it's centered how I would like it to be centered. Now that Sympathy I think is going to be popped up. I'd like to create a couple of, let's put a couple of leaves maybe. Maybe something like that. That looks quite nice. I don't want anything too fancy, I want it to be very simple and clean. So maybe one leaf underneath and one leaf over the top. It's very subjective putting the pieces together. Decide whether I like it on top or below. Or maybe even just the one. This is sometimes how it works. It's like watching paint dry, isn't it? Okay, I think that's what I want. I think I want it in the centre there. I want it like that. I think that's going to look nice. And do we put some ribbon on it maybe? I'm thinking maybe some burlap ribbon. Either through the centre. Grab this. No, I'm going to stay with that. I'm going to stay with that nice and plain and simple. Okay, so what I will do though is just add a little bit of sponging around that edge. So I'm going to get the Cajun Craze sponge. I'm not going to put any extra ink on it, and I'm just going to very gently cover, just colour around the edge. I don't want a lot of colour, I just want to define the edge a little bit. And by not putting it back on the ink pad, I'm not getting a lot of ink coming off, just enough. Okay, so let's go with that. I think we'll put this on the base with multi-purpose liquid glue. Again, it's quite a fine border around the edge, and I think it's a lot less forgiving than the wider ones are. It's easier to get it wrong. So there's that piece. I'm going to put one of these, I think, yeah, I think we're going to put a little bit of Tombow glue on that bottom edge. And the reason I'm not attaching this to the card just yet is trying to put Stampin' Dimensionals on afterwards. I want to know exactly where these leaves are going to be before I start to put my Stampin' Dimensionals on, and I think that one as well. So I need to put a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue just there, just to get it packed. Do it on the other side. You say I end up with sticky fingers, but it doesn't matter. We can do this. There. So that's how I want it to go. It's going to go like that. So now I have those pieces in place. I can grab my Stampin' Dimensionals. I know exactly where everything needs to go. And it is simply a case of adding some Stampin' Dimensionals to the assembled sentiment. And I do want to put quite a few on. Don't really want this collapsing when it goes through the mail. Okay, and I have somewhere some teeny tiny Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm just going to add some just to the ends. There we go. I think that one's okay. And let's go for it, big time. Okay, yes, that's a lot of Stampin' Dimensionals, I know that. But when you've got pieces that are odd shapes, sometimes you just need extras just to hold it up, as I say. So pull all the backing pieces off. Myself stuck to it. There we are. Okay, so let's bring my card back in. And let's just be very careful where I'm putting it. It's sort of tacky, so I can see where it's going, and then when I'm good and ready, I'll press it down. Okay, so there is the front of the card. Now I just want to do the inside. So what I will do is I will grab another piece of very vanilla card. We have these little leaves that we created at the same time. Let me cut them out. It's the same piece of card. I'm just going to take one of those. Just add that to that piece. I have a sentiment which also comes from Flourishing Phrases, and it says, praying that your heart will be lifted by the many loving thoughts that surround you today. So I'll come back with the Cajun Craze ink again. It's keeping everything together, and just make sure that it's nicely inked. And hoping that it's level. Oh, not too bad at all. Alright, so that's done. A bit more Tombow glue. Okay. Now on this one, I've got this glue very, very close to the edge there. So what I'm going to do is when I put this in, I'm going to start a little bit higher up and push it down into place, and that will make that glue that's right close to the edge go that way and not squidge out all over my card. So there we are with that. And then the final stage is to grab a very vanilla envelope, and I think for this I'm just going to use that leaf vein image again. So this is the leaf vein that's on the front, and I think I'll just lay that there. There we are. So there you have it. Envelope with a little bit of embellishment. A simple Sympathy card with some lovely natural looking leaves. A little bit of sentiment on the inside, again all coordinating, and a nice way to create a different kind of paper in order to use your die cuts. So I hope that's been interesting. If there's any questions, just drop me a line and I'll see you again soon. Bye.